After seeing what Mr. Putin is doing in Ukraine right now, will the CCP and Winnie the Pooh seize the opportunity and try to invade Taiwan? That's the question we're asking here today on YGZ Taiwan.
Like Taiwan, Ukraine has a very special place in my heart. You see, I spent the summer of 2015 teaching English at a summer camp in the picturesque Carpathian Mountains of Ukraine. The work hours were long and the pay wasn't great, but looking back on the experience, I can honestly say that it was one of the best summers of my life. I met some wonderful people and traveled to some beautiful places. The camp itself was located in a stunning part of Ukraine, surrounded by picturesque mountains and pine trees. The daytime was spent teaching English for Ukrainian children, and the evenings would be spent with songs around the campfire and fun activities. During our time off, my work colleagues and I would go for forest walks or excursions into the local towns where we would interact with the locals, eat some wonderful food, and just have an all-round good time. We had quite the adventure, including meeting this amazing taxi driver. The Ukrainian staff at the camp were very hard-working individuals and did their best to make the summer camp an awesome experience for not only the children, but the foreign staff too. When the camp was over, I decided to stay in the country a little longer and do a little bit of traveling. I went to the beautiful coastal city of Odessa and the capital city, Kyiv. Even in 2015, Ukraine was considered a dangerous place to be. The country was in political turmoil. In the previous year of 2014, student protests to sign an association agreement with the European Union and distance Ukraine from Russia's influence developed into a revolution that overthrew the government and sparked a counter-revolution in Ukraine's eastern pro-Russia Donbass region. The revolution scared the crap out of Russian leader Vladimir Putin, which resulted in the annexation of the Crimea. Putin fueled the counter-revolution in eastern Ukraine by secretly supplying the separatists weapons, and the conflict has been going on ever since. So the Ukraine was a very dangerous place when I was there, but despite this danger looming over the country, I still had a great time, which is very similar to what's happening right now in Taiwan with the ever-growing threat of the CCP constantly threatening to invade. And to think that Putin is currently invading that special country where I had one of the best summers of my life is just extremely heartbreaking. And I really hope that the wonderful people that I met during that time are safe and sound.
I think by now we can all see that it was a massive, massive mistake to think that Putin wouldn't invade Ukraine. I mean, after all, there was this massive military buildup along the border of Ukraine and Russia with thousands of troops, tanks, military equipment. And not only that, but there's this crazy megalomaniac who seems to be in control of a whole country, who has these feelings of nostalgia for the Soviet Union era of Russia, this era of suffering and misery and pain for the Russian people. But this guy has these nostalgic, grandiose feelings of this amazing time, and he wants to restore it. What an absolute maniac. And I just want to be clear, okay? This is Putin's war. This is not the Russian people's war. Because I have lots of Russian friends, and I know that they do not condone this kind of war of aggression against their neighboring country. So right now, the whole world is watching what's going on in Ukraine with bated breath. If Putin succeeds in his campaign of terror against Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, then the CCP might see this as their chance to try to invade Taiwan. This scenario of a potential invasion of Taiwan from the CCP is completely different to what's going on in Ukraine right now. And honestly, the CCP does not want to invade Taiwan. In fact, I think there's more chance of the CCP looking at what's going on in Ukraine, looking at what Putin is doing, and actually taking advantage of the situation and coming over and taking over parts of Russia. You know the CCP likes their land grabbing, right? You've seen what they've tried in India and the South China Sea, building these artificial islands. The CCP is desperate for more land. So Putin, you better watch out, man. You've got this crazy megalomaniac dictator Winnie the Pooh right on your doorstep, ready to take advantage of you. Someone who's exactly the same as you, just some crazy, narcissistic, warmongering weirdo. Watch out, Putin. Even though Russia and China don't exactly have the best relationship, they have a pretty troubling past filled with conflict and competition. It seems recently that Mr. Winnie the Pooh and Putin are getting awfully close together. But it does make sense, because I guess flies are attracted to shit, right? But anyway, I'm jumping ahead. Let's look at some more reasons why the CCP is not going to invade Taiwan.
So the first thing I want to talk about is this little thing called the One China policy, which basically means that the rest of the world plays this silly little game with the CCP where they diplomatically acknowledge that there is only one China, and that China being the People's Republic of China. Taiwan actually plays along with this silly little game and has not yet claimed independence from China. If Taiwan does claim independence, then this will cause the CCP to get really angry and throw all of its toys out of the pram and try to invade Taiwan. But like I said previously, Taiwan has not yet claimed independence from China. So the CCP attempting to invade Taiwan while they still have this agreement with the rest of the world would be a huge mistake. Not only would they be risking conflict with other countries, but if their invasion does fail, and it certainly will, then Taiwan will become an independent country. And that would be so humiliating for the CCP. So I guess we'll all just have to continue playing this silly little One China policy game. Now, this One China policy is completely different to the One China principle, or as I like to call it, the CCP's One China wishful thinking principle. This is where the CCP claims that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China that must be reunified no matter the cost. No other country, that is, 0 countries, nada, recognizes China's absurd claim to Taiwan. And actually, President Sleepy Joe Biden even recently said that the USA would defend Taiwan if China ever attempted an invasion. Granted, he did retract this statement, but this ambiguous statement has definitely created confusion and uncertainty within the ranks of the CCP, and now they can't be sure if they do try to invade Taiwan, if America will or will not get involved. This could definitely deter the CCP from even trying to invade Taiwan, as the risk of going up against the largest and most advanced military in the world, plus its allies, is not a prospect the CCP wants to consider. But after all this, let's say the CCP does try to invade Taiwan. I think it would be a huge mistake. One thing that we can learn from this invasion of Ukraine is that you shouldn't underestimate a smaller country with a population who are strong fighters and have an unwavering resolve to defend their country. Even against all the odds of going up against a superpower with a seemingly invincible army, the Ukrainian people are standing their ground and not making it easy for Putin. It would be the same if the CCP tried to invade Taiwan, because like the Ukrainian people, the Taiwanese are also dedicated to defending the country that they love and absolutely do not want to be a part of China. I think after watching the situation in Ukraine and the devastation it's causing on both sides, Winnie the Pooh is shitting his pants and will think twice about invading Taiwan. Also, we've seen that the whole world has condemned this invasion of Ukraine. and are starting to impose severe economic sanctions on Russia. I don't think the CCP would want this to happen to them. Economic sanctions would have a devastating impact on China. It's bad enough that the CCP have politically distanced themselves from the rest of the world, but economic sanctions to a China that relies on trade with the whole world would be devastating. So much so that the awful Cultural Revolution and great leap forward from the CCP's shameful past, where millions of Chinese people died, would pale in comparison.
Please don't forget to tell me in the comments section of today's video whether you think the CCP are going to invade Taiwan. And also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out my Instagram, my Twitter, and my Patreon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.